So a foam roller or a towel rolled up, nice and firm, and or a yoga mat, okay? So we're gonna end up using those for getting our spine and doing some opening up through the front side of the body here. All right, and we're gonna start on the ground on your mat. So thanks for joining me today for our mind, body, and recovery. We all need recovery every once in a while, right? So go ahead and just take a nice seat onto the ground. Just relax back into your hands and move those feet around a little bit. Kind of pedaling them out. Pointing the toes, turning them up, maybe spreading them at the top, wiggling those toes around a little bit. Going back into your ankles again. Oftentimes we associate recovery with just stretching. It can be even activation and using the right muscles to do certain things. Wiggle those toes around again. And let's just kind of pedal out the legs. Kind of shaking them out a little bit. Again, waking up those tissues. And we're just going to start with some seated little motions here. We're going to go ahead and just slide that leg along the floor and push it out. Nice and easy. Just kind of let the body kind of go in and out of that motion as freely and relaxed as you can get it to do that. And just sliding that heel along the floor and then pressing it out. And we'll go into that other side, just bringing it in and out. Adding a little bit of toe turn up at the bottom. We're going to stay seated here again, bending both of those legs, bringing the feet in nice and close, and just open and close those legs into your little butterfly. Every time you open the legs, try to pull them a little bit wider open with those muscles on the outside of the hips. And moving those legs a little bit further away from us, and we're just going to kind of grab onto our lower legs, rounding our back over, and then arching. I should probably sit sideways. That way you can just see the side of my body. Arching the back and rounding it over. Exhale as you round through that spine. Inhale as you come up to lengthen it. Just opening up through the chest. Think about lifting your chest to the wall and the ceiling in front of you. And then pressing your upper back to the wall behind you. And let's do that just a couple more times here. Exhale, rounding over. And then inhale, opening up. I just want to make sure no one's sitting in the waiting room. I don't have a notification, but just in case. So we're going to go ahead and cross the lower legs and just sitting in this crossover leg position with the body up nice and tall. I want you to bring your right arm behind your body and just place the palm there. We're not really leaning into it anymore. And then that left arm is going to come across to the right knee. And we're going to make a diagonal over to the back side of our mat. So the pinkies are on the floor, pinky side of the hand. Okay, and then we're going to come across diagonally to that knee. And just keeping the body looking forward once you get this going across. Again, it's just a nice little diagonal all the way, just follows that same path. Coming in front and back. The palm's just naturally going to turn towards the right side of your body as you're coming forward. And then once you get up here, see if you can turn the palm away so the pinkies are there. We'll try this one more time. Around and back. Let's go ahead and just take that left hand and place that on the ground. The right hand comes to the left knee and bringing it up at a diagonal and around. See if you can do this motion without any elevation or activation of those upper trap muscles. Something that can really help you with this is continually thinking that your arm is being extended or being pulled out from your body. And you're resisting that with your core. My arm is being pulled, but yet I'm pulling back by using my core muscles. Couple more. Creating that diagonal motion with that arm. And we're going to go ahead and bring ourselves all the way down to the floor, keeping both knees, both hips bent. We're just going to concentrate on one side. I'm going to start with my left, and I'm just opening my left leg away from my right leg while I keep my hips in this position. So we're still like we were sitting, but there's no weight on my pelvis. Open and closing. Again, this is not meant to be any sort of really strengthening where we're trying to really contract anything per se, but just going through that motion. Do a couple more on this side and pay attention to how far your leg can get down or open or where it stops, if it's abrupt stop here or if you're able to kind of let it fall a little bit further. And now we're going to go to that other side. So again, letting that leg fall out to the side. So maybe it doesn't necessarily hurt more on one side than the other, or you don't feel like a pain or discomfort of any sort. I hope you're not feeling pain. But maybe you just feel like it's a little bit more congested, right? And that's where today, always on these mornings, this is your opportunity to just create the awareness and not really try to correct too much today. We're just recovering those tissues from all those pulling and pushing and contracting type motions we're always doing. And now we're going to use the muscles to bring in our thighs towards our rib cage. Both legs are together. And you're going to make really big circles with those knees, pulling in, pushing out. My feet are going to stay somewhat close together, bringing them back down to the ground, and that's when I pull them together. So here and around, pull those inner thighs together. Big, huge circles. Welcome, Barb. Thanks for joining us. When you get a chance, you'll want to grab either a foam roller, roll up a towel, or if you have an extra yoga mat, that will work well too to roll that up. We're just working on leg circles. We've got a couple more coming in and around, placing those feet on the ground and then together. Let's do one more in this motion.
I'm just listening to a class.
Oh, we're just going to reverse this. So now our legs are going to spread open, and then we're going to kind of slide those toes along the floor as far as they can go. And then we start pulling up and bringing them into the midline. Then we go through the midline till the toes reach the floor. and out. Again, and down. I really like doing hip circles with my knees bent. We tend to do them a lot, right, in Pilates with our knees straight. Doing them with your knees bent can really get you a little bit more in tune with what's really happening here in the hip socket, your pelvis, and is it being influenced more through the rest of my legs, or is it mainly up across in my hips here? We've got a couple more in the same direction here, opening out and then pulling them around. And one more. Go ahead and take a nice hug in with those legs. And while you're hugging your legs in, and you don't have to grab on the front of your shins if that bothers you, you can always grab behind your upper leg. And you're pulling in, and then I want you to kind of wiggle the pelvis around. It can be side to side, it can be just a little rocking motion, but just mix up that motion a little bit while you're pulling those thighs in. And we're going to go ahead and put that right foot down on the ground and grabbing the back of your left thigh. And again, you're not forcing or anything, you're just going until your leg says that's it, right? So we're influenced by the back and the front. If you've got some pinching in the front of your hip, you've probably got a little hip impingement. So there's a lot of strengthening things we need to do, obviously, back here, in our glutes and our hammies, and maybe even we might have to strengthen the inner thighs. I mean, it could be different.
Kind of like a yoga
We're
class.
extending
Yeah.
the left knee and bending it. Okay. So just go until your leg says, oh, that's enough. And then if you give your quadriceps, your thighs, a little contraction, you might be surprised you might be able to get the knee to go into a little extension. You're not trying to force anything too much.
With it.
So again, we're still just kind of gently pulling that in, extend, and then give it a little contraction through the knee or the thigh, excuse me, at the very end to see if your knee will straighten out just a little bit more. And you're gonna switch. We're gonna place that left leg down, grab the back side of the right leg, and again, just find where that end point is. And then go ahead and start with some leg straightening, finding the end point, and then seeing if you can contract your quad to get that leg, that knee to go a little bit straighter. Here. A couple more on this side. Getting to that end point and giving it a little contraction. One more. Good. And let's just let those legs melt into the floor. Keep your nice and straight, and you're going to go ahead and extend those arms overhead. Reach with your tippy toes to the opposite wall. Breathe. A big inhale as you expand your rib cage. And a long exhale as you feel your rib cage pulling down towards your pelvis and your toes, and you're reaching with your arms. Again, inhale and expand. And exhale, pull that rib cage down and reach with your arms a little further. We'll do that one more time. Inhale and expand. the ribs out wide, and then exhale. Bending your right leg in again, and you're gonna place it on the inside of the left knee, and you're gonna reach to the outside of that right leg, that right knee, with your left hand. And you're gonna just let the right arm come down to shoulder level, like a T on the side, and then you're just going to start to use that left arm to pull the legs over to the left side of your body. Trying to relax as much as you can. If that foot doesn't relax behind your left knee, just bring it to the floor if that feels a little bit better for you. Now we're pulling a little bit on the right side of our body using that left hand, but make sure you're not going to the point where you feel a lot of discomfort. We're going to stay in this position for a few more refreshing breaths. And always reminding and encouraging us to exhale to the spot where we feel the most restriction or congestion. And bringing that right knee back up. Hopefully you were able to get some of those tissues to calm down. Maybe you didn't get further into your stretch, but you're able to get the tissues to calm down. Straighten that right leg along the floor and then bend your left knee. You're going to place the left foot on the inside of the right knee, reaching across with that right hand to that outside of your left knee. And again, you're going to pull with the right arm, the legs over to the right side of the body. And if it doesn't feel comfortable to let your foot relax behind your right knee, you place that foot, the toes on the floor in front of the right knee. The exhale is where you release the tension in the tissues. And we're going to go ahead and come back straight up. Hugging both legs in once again. And let's bring the chin or the forehead towards the knees. And open up a little bit. And pull all of those in again. And open up a little bit. One more time. Exhale. Good. And I want you to now grab, if you have a foam roller, or you've got your towel wrapped up into a nice tight circle, or you've got your yoga mat as well. Okay? The foam roller, if it's the thickest, right, it is going to create the most spinal extension. So if you need to get a towel to make it a little bit smaller, it's about the same, but it'll squish down. So play around with what you need. We are going to actually start with the foam roller way up high onto your upper area of your body. So foam roller or your towel will work fine. You're just not going to be going through as much motion. I'm actually probably going to go between my towel and my foam roller. Okay. So what I want you to do is relax your upper body. If you have a foam roller, you're definitely going to need to support your head with your hands, right? Because that's a pretty big extension. If you have a towel, you might not have to, or a yoga mat, you might not really have to support the head because you might actually be able to bring the head on the floor, okay? I'm actually gonna start with this one because this feels really good to be able to just rest my head and bring my arms, but I'm still getting a nice little extension into that upper back and shoulder area. So if all you have is a foam roller right now and you wanna head over to your linen closet and quickly grab a towel so that you can rest your head on there, that's just fine. So right now our arms are in this kind of sprawled out little goalpost position. You can just straighten them if you want. If you're causing a little tension in your neck, just drop those arms a little. Right now our knees and our hips are bent. If you feel comfortable, see if you can extend those legs. And obviously your entire spine is in extension, but you're really working on that upper part of your spine, top of your cervical or bottom of your cervical spine and top of your thoracic area. I want you to exhale into your chest. Every time you exhale, imagine that something is pulling your chest and your rib cage down towards your toes. Another thing you can think about is something heavy is sitting on your chest. And at this point, if you want to go back to your foam roller, if you have one, you can support the head and go into that as well, either bending the knees and the pelvis or extending. Now I'm able to get my head onto the floor and still be somewhat relaxed. And when you're ready, you'll just sit up and we're going to change the positioning. But before we do that, we're going to sit all the way up. And I just want us to relax forward, to just go in the opposition of what you were just doing. Letting the weight of your head really pull on your erector spinae muscles all the way down into your sacral area. And we'll come up. And now you're going to move your foam roller or your towel into, and again, if you have a foam roller and a towel nearby, you could start with the towel and then ease your way into the foam roller. So we'll bend our hips and knees again. And now we're going below our shoulder blades and we're in that rib cage area. So that whole definitely thoracic area. And we're going to try to get the head and then see if you can just melt the back of the shoulders into the ground. Arms can come out to a T, or if you really want to work on that shoulder, any position you feel comfortable, just avoiding maybe coming up too high over your head right now. Just like a medium Y or V out into maybe a T. And then this position, I want you to take your breath into your organs, like into your belly, abdominal area. As you inhale, just let the rib cage really expand open. And then exhale and slowly just melt in through your organs and your belly, that nice relaxing breath. And now that we've done a few here, I want you to just let those legs go to straight if that feels okay. At any point, if you feel any strain in your neck and you feel like you're having to hold or tense up, that might mean that you need to put a little something, a folded washcloth or towel or something, a little tiny pillow underneath the base of the head, the skull, to kind of get your head more in a neutral so your neck is not going into extension. And at this point, if you do have a foam roller and you feel like you're able to, you can try to get your body up onto that firmer object, okay? And again, you might have to support with your hands, or you might have to put your towel or something behind you to be able to get that head to relax, okay? Same as we did with the towel level, you can go to extension in the legs if you want. Continue to breathe. If you're having a hard time relaxing, then you're doing too much extension for you, and you might have to come up and go in and out of it a little bit instead of holding it. And we'll all bend our knees and our hips and support our head and do a little trunk curl, and then get yourself back up to a seated position. And once again, let's go ahead and just do that opposition. We're just gonna round over and let that upper body hang. Let the weight of our head stretch out, those erectors in the opposite direction. Feel those arms getting really heavy. Maybe turn your palms up. And sit back up. We're now going to go into the pelvis area. So we're not going to do the lumbar. Actually, you know what? We will do lumbar. I mean, most people, you might have to double up because we have a really good curve in our lower back usually, but not everyone does. So that's why I kind of stopped myself. So we'll place the object that you have right above your pelvis. So if you place your hands on your hip bone, just in that normal, natural curve of your back spot, and your rib cage should be above there, okay? So again, starting with your knees and your hips bent. And now the shoulders should be able to relax onto the ground. You can extend those legs slowly. So we're spending a lot of time into back extension today. And so those muscles, that's why I keep going into forward flexion as well, to just round the back over, to just kind of stretch it back out a little bit. And the difference is you're trying to let those muscles relax and get used to that position versus using the muscles to get you into extension. We're using this object. And if you do have that larger object or your foam roller, you can try to give that a try to place that down below or above your pelvis, and just let your pelvis fall around the other side of your foam roller. And since this is such a big extension in your pelvis and tilting forward, you might want to just extend one leg at a time. And if you just extended one leg, you'll go into the other side. Don't forget about the long exhales, and then you're gonna bring that right leg in. And while we're here, we're just gonna lift our buns up, hips up, and you're gonna slide your object right underneath your pelvis now. So it's on that sacrum, okay? And everyone's feet are on the ground, arms are on the ground. You can go back into this position. I just gently lowered my arms, trying to flatten your upper back onto the ground here, okay? Make sure your neck is nice and long. If you feel like you're in extension, you're looking up, you need to place something small underneath your skull to get your head in more of a neutral, your neck in a neutral position so it's not arching too much. And if you feel comfortable, you can extend one leg and see what that feels like on that side. Your breath is now, your exhale is going to go into your pelvis area, way down on your pelvic floor. Exhaling into the bladder. If you have one leg extended, you can now bring that in and then extend the other leg and let the weight of that leg pull on your pelvis. If at any time your back starts to go into spasm, right, you want to bend both knees again. You'll know it'll just start kind of cramping up. Breathe right in that pelvis area. Just feel all that tension release in that area with your exhale. And you can either bend both knees and the hips, or you can go into extension in both legs. And you're going to slide those heels in. And you're going to press through the feet and lift those hips up. Release that object and just lay the entire spine flat on the ground with your knees and your hips bent. And take the inhale up through the entire trunk, spine, and then the exhale, you're going to push out from the top of your spine down through your pelvis. We are going to go into those hip circles again that you did at the beginning and see if anything feels different. Pulling through the midline of the body with the thighs, opening out, toes go to the ground, and then we bring those inner thighs back together. Now switch directions. Toes go down through the center of the body, open the thighs out, and pull around. Use that breath to move you through your motions. Inhaling on one full motion, exhaling on the next. And extending your left leg again along the floor. Taking that left hand to the outside of the right knee, placing that right foot on the inside of the left knee, and just pull everything back over to your left, letting the toe drop if you need to in front of the knee. And see if anything feels different. Bringing everything back to the center. Let's repeat that on the other side. Extending that right leg, bending the left, reaching across with the right arm to the outside of the left thigh or knee, and pulling across to the right side. Don't forget, the toe can go in front of the knee on the floor or gently relaxed behind the right knee. And bringing back everything back up to the center. Hug your knees in for one big inhale and roll yourself up to a seated position. And we're actually going to just change that. We're going to start with the knee though, okay? So I want us to place our object underneath us, whether it's the towel or the foam roller. I think I'm going to start with my thicker towel. So when I lay down, I want my kneecaps off of my object. So those of you that have done like the lying leg curl machine in the gym, right? Your kneecap is free, okay? It's resting on the bottom of my thigh, okay? So we're going to just let the legs relax. So you're going to feel a big pull in the back of your knee if you don't have full extension in your knee. We're not forcing anything down, okay? And since there's no weight on the bottom of our legs, we're not at risk for really hyperextending the knee here. Just let the tops of the feet or the toes relax onto the ground. And then from here, I want you to alternate doing a little knee flexion or bending. See if you can do both legs at the same time, tapping those toes down and bringing up. There really shouldn't be any pelvis motion if as you bend your knees, you feel your pelvis start to pop up towards the ceiling, right? You've got some sacral things going on there, right? You should be able to just relax the pelvis and disassociate that as you're bending your knees. Yes, they're connected, but we shouldn't have to pull with our pelvis. From here, just relax your feet into the ground. Take a couple deep breaths again. And you're going to either roll off to the side or press yourself up. And we're now going to take our rolled up object and we're going to place it right in front of our hips where they bend. Okay, I'm going to use my foam roller for this one. So right where your hips bend. Now, if this bothers your neck, right, you might wanna take something and place it underneath your chest a little bit so that your head can drop down like this, okay? Otherwise, if you're okay, you can certainly place your head here. I'm just gonna place my hands underneath my head to make it feel a little bit better. So you might have to prop your chest up just a little bit, okay? So our knees should just fall to the ground. The front of the lower legs should fall to the ground. And work on your breathing here. I want you to think about as you inhale and exhale, you're now trying to release the back side of your pelvis. And just let it open up. If your foam roller is too much, if it feels really weird, then you can certainly go ahead and use your towel. With just a little bit of flexion in your pelvis area. And you do not have to have your arms up. You certainly can relax them at your side. And you can even turn your head side to side if that feels a little bit more comfortable for you. And we're going to start to move our object up a little bit higher, okay? So you're going to be kind of at your tummy area between your pelvis and your rib cage. If it creates any discomfort, then you probably want to just scooch up into more your chest area, below your chest and on your rib cage. But otherwise, if you can get into your tummy and relax it down. The foam roller is very firm for most of you, so it might not feel very good pressing down, pressing into your tummy and your organs. And again, you can grab that yoga mat or you can grab that towel, pillow, whatever it might be. It'll be a little more forgiving. You're working on your breath. You're trying to just open up through the lungs, the rib cage, and the back side of your body. With your inhale and then your exhale, just again, just relax that breath into your organs, your belly area. And we're going to bring ourselves up to a kneeling position here. You might need to put padding underneath your knee if that feels comfortable. And I want us to just work on rocking back towards our heels with our hips. And instead of looking out at our fingertips, just let your head drop. Let your head drop and feel your head getting very heavy. One more. And we're going to stay on our hands and knees. And I want us to work on bringing one arm underneath. So I'm gonna bring my right arm through my body underneath my left. And we're gonna try to get the side of the head onto the floor today, okay? So it's really gonna be stretching out that neck on the side. And you can just relax back into your hips. If you want to kind of shift your whole body back, you can, or keep your hips high, whatever feels best on your neck. And you've got this hand here just for a little support. We're not trying to push too much, but a little bit of pressure to get that shoulder over the other one. It's gonna just add a little stretch through the back. But I want us to really use this more for like a little neck stretch to get us prepared for the next one. And then bring this up, and we're gonna switch to the other side. Running under, and just getting that neck, that side of the head to the floor, sitting back into the hips if that feels better. And coming up. Good. Go ahead and come up into a seated position here. So we did the hip motion, face up. We're actually going to come back to our hands and knees, and we're just going to do some little hip circles in this position. I'm hoping that without a lot of concentration on your hips, but more of the spine, that you're actually able to have a little bit freer motion in those hips, and then go around the other direction a little bit. Let's go to that other side, just a few in one direction. Don't worry about how big your motion is today. Switch directions. Good. You're gonna stay on your knees, and you're gonna grab your towel, your foam roller, or your yoga. Your foam roller, it might not really be the best because you won't be able to go very low. So I should have had everyone grab a little bit of a towel, but we're gonna place it behind our upper leg and on top of our lower leg there, okay? And we're gonna work on just sitting back towards our heels to really stretch out and create some space in that knee joint. And at any time you need to come out of it and readjust, you can. If it doesn't feel good really close to your knee joint, you might need to create the space more above the ankles, between your hips and your ankles. This is also going to really help you stretch out and lengthen the front of those ankles. So again, any position on that lower leg with your towel or your yoga mat rolled up. Here for just a little while longer, and you're just playing around while you're in this position. And go ahead and take that out. So let's go ahead and just bring ourselves to a seated position here with our legs somewhat extended out in front of us, and just relax those feet. We're just gonna go into a seated forward fold, and again, let the weight of the head relax through the spine. Palms are gonna be up, and just feel the weight of your arms pulling on your neck and your shoulders here for a little bit. And bringing everything back up once again. We're gonna take a little different seated position, so we're gonna have our legs somewhat in that 90-90 position. So if you kind of get everything knees stacked, you're just gonna let your one knee fall to the floor and then the other one come back. So they can have a little bit more bend in the knee, it'll feel a little bit more comfortable. And we're gonna take the arm and bring it off to the side. So this hip is a little bit more open, okay? So reaching that arm out, and now I want you to extend and just let the weight of this arm fall towards your head. We're not trying to hold our head up into kind of doing a stretch here. We're trying to just keep it in neutral. We're now going to take that arm and bring it to the opposite knee again. And we're going to bring it around and see if you can touch the toe behind you on the floor. Circle it around. So we're using this to just kind of keep our whole core stable. There's really no motion in the upper body. Reach it towards the toe behind you. And then reach into the knee in front of you. And hold right here. I want you to go ahead and come down onto your elbow. So we're coming a little further. And we're reaching, and this time see if you can let your head drop a little bit and let that arm drop. Let gravity do its thing. And from here, open up the front of the shoulder and the palm as you reach to the back of the room and letting those fingertips go towards that back foot. Again, let the head just drop. And pulling it back up and around. All the way down to the front. And bring your body up, and we're going to go to that other side. So knees will come together. You just kind of let one fall down. Bring the other one back. Go ahead and tuck those knees in nice and close. Make it a somewhat comfortable position. The further this foot out is out, the harder it's going to be on your hip. It'll be more like our 90-90 position. And lean into that arm. And just keeping the head in neutral. Extend this top arm. Just let gravity do its thing. You're not trying to force or reach too much. Just let it go. And you're going to bring that arm down to that knee. And then circle the arm around and work towards the toe behind you. And then back around. Slow and controlled. You're going to bring that arm down to the ground, with the elbow down to the ground, and you're going to let your head just fall to the side and feel a nice stretch. Arm will come up again. And again, just let gravity do its job. It's hard to just release and let the body, the muscles hang. And start to move that arm behind you, Palm will go towards the ceiling. Circle it around as far as it'll let you go towards that foot behind you. Go slow and control. And bring it all the way back and around. And bring it up. And let's end with those lower legs crossed over again. Hanging on to your knees, and you can start to just bring the body forward. Or if you're able to walk those arms forward. And bringing it up. So very slow and deliberate extension through the spine today, a little flexion. You can bring yourself to a seated position, and I appreciate you guys joining me.